Welcome back, everybody, to the next matchup in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Generation X tournament here on the HomeBoiz channel. And we have Marcel Bonaparte going up against Zane Truesdale. This is going to be a very, very incredible duel, to say the least. Now, when I went over Adrian Gecko, I said that he had to have Cloudians, even though he was known for another deck much more because of someone else in the tournament, and this is what I meant. See, Marcel Bonaparte ran Exodia and a Exodius, right? The ultimate Forbidden Lord, and we'll get to him in a second. And that's the deck that he was known for, and then he also used Fog King some freaking how to make it more of an Exodia deck, but not really, not actually. But yeah, Marcel is going to be taking Exodia, and the reason Marcel takes Exodia, even though he only used it like once, I think, is because somebody else is going to have the other deck that Marcel could have run here. But again, we'll get into that when the time comes. So, 5 pieces of Exodia, plain and simple, and not very many monsters, but all the monsters. The Deep Diver stacks your deck, so that's why there's only one copy. Sanguine and Witch will search for a piece of Exodia, and I believe that, yeah, the Witch of the Black Forest can search for one of your other monsters, and Mad Reloader can let you draw and basically reset a portion of your hand. Now that we have all that out the way, Exodius, the ultimate Forbidden Lord. Now, this is a very famous card in Yu-Gi-Oh! And everybody knows what he does, but the anime Exodius is just slightly different, right? So, you have to use a ritual spell card to summon this guy, and no, he's not a ritual monster. Very, very insane. And drawing the ritual spell isn't enough. The ritual spell needs to be in the grave. It's got conditions. That's all I'm gonna say, right? So, he's unaffected by your opponent's card effects, though, because he's technically a god. That's what Exodius is. He's the Jewish god. And when he attacks, you throw away a Forbidden One from your hand or from your deck. He'll gain 1,000 attack for each Forbidden One that's in your graveyard. And if you get all 5 in the graveyard this way, then you will win the duel. Oh, excuse me. No. It doesn't have to be this way. It just says if there are 5 different ones in your grave. So yeah, he's a little stronger because of that than the printed version that we got. Now to look at his ritual spell real quick. So, Ultimate Ritual of the Forbidden Lord. So, you have to activate the spell card from the graveyard. So, you have to get it in there somehow. And there's a couple of different ways you can do that. Now, when you have the 5 pieces of Exodia in your hand or graveyard, you show all of them and they all go back into your deck, I believe, and then you discard 2 pieces. You might only shuffle back the one in your graveyard. I'm not 100% sure, but it'll be on the screen for you guys. And you special summon Exodius this way, right? And while it's on the field, when a Forbidden One card is sent to the graveyard by any other effect, they get returned to the deck. So it's kind of iffy, but more or less, like if there's a way for you to take this card in the graveyard and put it back into the deck or back into the hand or whatever, then you have 0 restrictions on how you can win the duel with this guy. But that's not all, because you see here, there's another golden body right here, and he is the legendary Exodia Incarnate, or as I prefer to call him, Exodia the Summoned One, right? And you summon him by tributing one of the 5 pieces from your field. And he gains 1,000 attack for every piece of Exodia that's in your graveyard. He's not affected by any other card effects, including your own. But during the end phase, he takes one of the pieces of Exodia and puts it back into your hand. So he makes himself weaker, but on purpose, because when he dies, you reveal how many pieces are in your hand, and then you draw that many cards. So it's actually very, very crazy, and you do have cards to help both of these 2 guys out. You have a lot of powerful cards in here: the Upstart, the Pot of Avarice, the Pot of Greed. Feather of a Phoenix is the potential way that you can remove the restriction of the ritual spell, but we're gonna have to see. Then of course you're gonna have some stall cards in here, a lot more draw cards, and like deck thinning. Painful Choice is insane because of both of these. Just Jesus, man. Painful Choice an ultimate ritual in your graveyard is all you need in order to wreak havoc upon your enemy. Now, you do have Drag Down into the Grave, the anime version. Originally, you both look at your hands, you throw away one card from the opponent's hand, and you both draw. This time, it's 2 cards. I don't think they do go into the graveyard. Oh, but they shuffle the rest of their hand into the deck. So, pretty insane stuff. You lose your whole hand twice, kind of. Really, really weird. Rage of the Forbidden One. So you can only use this when Exodius is on your field, but you negate the effects of every card your opponent controls and that they have played that entire turn. What in the fuck is this deck? Then the Anime Magical Mallet, because this is the GX era, so it shuffles itself back in the deck too. And introducing Anime Hand Destruction, because the effect was apparently different in the show. I never knew. Now, people who know Hand Destruction, both players throw away 2 cards and then draw 2 cards. No. Hand Destruction, you both throw away 4 cards and draw 4 cards. And you can almost always activate it because it says if any player has less than 4, they just throw away their whole hand and redraw. Insane effects. And Burden of the Mighty, because I like to put that in decks sometimes. Now, worst case scenario, you lose some pieces and you don't have one of the big Exodias to help you out. You do have Backup Soldier right here to help continue the plays. And you have Forbidden Apocrypha in order to shut down any and all fusion monsters your opponents will use. Now, you also have Defense Seal Wall. So, again, you can only really use it if Exodius, the Forbidden Lord, is on your field. But when your opponent attacks, you negate the attack and then you end the battle phase. But if you lose Exodius, the trap card goes as well. But an MST, or as you can see, Breaker, the Magical Warrior, can always, kind of be a workaround for that. And for whatever reason, I was feeling really good, so I threw in 2 Dimensional Prisons. Not 1, but 2. In this sort of format, just 1 alone is pretty fucked. But it sucks for the opponent, right? Then you have 2 copies of Obliterate. It throws away Exodia pieces or anybody with Exodia or Forbidden One really in your hand or deck into the graveyard to send a monster on the field back into the hand. And it also makes Legendary Exodia stronger, and since it's a continuous trap, you can use the effect on your opponent's turn as well. Absolutely wild. But it doesn't even stop there, because you still have Break the Seal, where if you get both of them on the field, they send each other to the graveyard and you get to search for one of your 5 pieces. How anybody would deal with this deck, I have absolutely no idea. This is easily much more powerful than the other Exodia deck in the last tournament, but time to take a look at what Zane's got. Alright, so the odds are kind of stacked against him, but god damn it, Zane will find a way. Obviously, the 3 Cyber Dragons, you have 1 copy of Cyber Dragon Dry, you have 2 copies of Cyber Dragon Zwei, you also have Cyber Laser Dragon, because that's what the good Zane ran. Then you have Cyber Phoenix. He can protect your machines from spells and traps that target while he's in attack mode, and if he ever dies, you draw a card. Cyber Keyring contribute itself to protect you from Power Bond's effects damage. 2 copies of Proto Cyber Dragon, 1 copy of Cyber Dragon Core, 3 Cyber Larvas to help thin your deck a little bit and to protect you from battle damage for the whole turn. And with all these monsters that will probably die or go to the graveyard because of fusion, you have your holy savior, Cyber Eltonin. And if you don't know what Eltonin does, you banish every light machine on your field and in your graveyard. And his attack is 500 for each of those machines. And when he summons to the field, every other monster gets sent to the graveyard. Not destroyed, but sent to the grave. So you're just ready to attack your opponent directly for 1,000,000 points of damage. And a personal favorite of mine, even though it's not a light machine, Cyber Dinosaur, who special summons itself when your opponent special summons. And it has some kind of nice attack. Now you have a buttload of spell cards, but that's how a lot of these decks work. So you only have 1 So you only have one polymerization and one power bond in the deck. Now, I was nice and I went with the normal power bond, and the reason I say that's nice is because the anime power bond counts itself as polymerization as well, so you could like just fuse in Sage for power bond and search it out. That'd be too much. Different dimension capsule, because that's what he ran. With some of these lower attack monsters, I put in a creature swap. You do have Pot of Greed and Monster Reborn, which are really nice, and obviously Repair Plants, Cybernetic Fusion support, and Time Fusion are in here. Now, Time Fusion is actually really interesting. So you banish a card from your hand, and later on your next standby phase, I believe, you just summon any one of your fusion monsters, but it can't attack that turn. But this is essentially a 2-card Cyber End Dragon, so absolutely insane stuff there. Then you also have the anime Future Fusion. Oh man, if you thought the pre-errata was good, look at this. You fusion summon the turn you activate Future Fusion, and the only downside is that it can't attack that turn. There's no downside like, oh, if this card leaves, the monster dies. No, there's none of that. There's absolutely none of that. Now, here in the side deck, you do have one copy of Jizukiru, the Star Destroying Kaiju, and you can basically Kaiju your opponent and then use the Kaiju in order to go into Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon. But that's why there's only one copy of this. Then Electromagnetic Turtle, because it has synergy with another Chimera Tech. You have your second core waiting here, along with your Cyber Jar, which is gonna be insane. Instant Fusion, Power Bond, another Repair Plant, and Burial from the Different Dimension, as well as Return from the Different Dimension. These are the most significant cards, aside from the obvious Xyz monsters right here, Cyber Dragon Infinity. But until that round 2, you're gonna have to settle for Cyber Dragon Nova if you want to Xyz summon with Zane. Then, as you can see, 2 twins, 2 Cyber Ends, since there's a lot of ways that you can summon the Cyber End. And Chimera Techs, right? 2 Chimera Techs, the first 2, are vastly different compared to the real life counterparts. So Chimera Tech Overdragon is Cyber Dragon plus any number of machines that you want. When he's summoned to the field, all other cards you control go to the graveyard, and his attack and defense is 800 times the number of monsters you used, and that's his original attack, by the way. He can attack once for every fusion material monster you used, plus 1. And unlike in real life, there's no restriction on him only being able to attack monsters. So he can easily clear out your opponent's entire field and then attack directly another 10 times. This guy is going to be disgusting. And then very underwhelming compared to the real life counterpart is Fortress Dragon. Instead of gaining 1000 attack for each material that you use, not only does he get the destroy your entire field when he's summoned effect, but he negates his own attacks. So he never actually attacks. And every time he does attack, he basically just burns your opponent for 400. And that's basically it. I mean, you can't use him on your opponent's turn for anything, and he'll have 0 attack. So he's kind of a situational card. He's only really a go-to if you can't battle for some reason. And then Chimera Tech Rampage Dragon is going to have a lot of synergy with that Electromagnetic Turtle. You throw away light machines in your deck in order to give him up to 2 additional attacks, and upon summon, he MSTs for every machine that you used for his summon. And Instant Fusion is actually used for Panzer Dragon. Now, Instant Fusion destroys the fusion at the end of the turn. When Panzer Dragon is destroyed, it destroys a card on the field. And since it's a level 5 light machine, Panzer Dragon can be used for the Xyz summon of Nova and potentially for Infinity. And that's going to be it for Zane Truesdale's deck. He has a really big challenge up ahead. Let's see which one of these 2 amazing duelists comes out on top. Without further ado, let the duel begin.